Oscar Piastri isn't who people thought he was. When he first stepped onto the Formula One radar, the paddock didn't buzz, it exploded. There was no soft entry, no gentle buildup of hype. It was chaos. Two major teams were battling each other, not over a title or a tech upgrade, but over a driver. And not just any driver, a kid who hadn't even driven an F1 car in a Grand Prix. A kid who'd been out of racing for an entire year. What made this even crazier? An 8-time race winner was let go just to make room for this newcomer. The name on everyone's lips was Oscar Piastri. The whispers in the paddock were relentless. Why him? What's so special about this guy that McLaren would go to court over him? Why would a team risk its reputation and stability for someone so unproven on paper? But here's the twist. Fast forward to now, and all those questions have been answered in the most emphatic way possible. Not only did Oscar live up to the hype, he absolutely annihilated it. He didn't tiptoe into F1. He launched himself into the arena like he owned the place. And suddenly, everyone realized they weren't looking at a rising star. They were looking at something closer to a supernova. From the outside, Oscar seems like a calm, quiet type. Doesn't raise his voice, doesn't throw tantrums on team radio, doesn't seem to break under pressure. The assumption? He's just naturally chill, cool-headed, emotionally unshakable. That couldn't be further from the truth. This level of calm, this ice-cold demeanor, was forged under pressure most kids would buckle under. At just 14, Oscar moved from Australia to the UK, alone. No family, no safety net. Just a teenager in a boarding school, thousands of kilometers from home, surrounded by strangers, chasing a racing dream. While other kids his age were learning to navigate high school, Oscar was navigating life on his own, all while climbing the motorsport ladder. He's admitted it himself. That time in boarding school, it was a nightmare at first. What kid wouldn't feel that way? But Oscar had something else on his side: purpose. He could escape that environment by racing. That became his rhythm, his normal. And when life throws a 14-year-old into the deep end with zero support, they either sink or evolve. Oscar evolved. That's where the calm comes from. It's not natural, it's earned. But calm alone doesn't win races. Not in F1, not even close. There's something deeper going on here. Something that explains why engineers light up when they talk about him. Something that makes Oscar a different kind of dangerous on track. This isn't just about reaction time or bravery or racecraft. Oscar Piastri has something flowing through his veins that most drivers don't: engineering blood. His dad co-founded HP Tuners, a tech company focused on vehicle tuning systems. Both of his grandfathers, mechanics. It wasn't video games or cartoons that filled Oscar's childhood. It was hardware, engines, gears. By his early teens, he was already rebuilding mini-engines in the garage. While other kids were trying to beat lap times on PlayStation, Oscar was figuring out how the machine itself actually worked. That mindset never left. When he finally got access to F1-level simulators, the results were jaw-dropping. In under 10 laps, he was matching the breakpoints and performance of full-time race drivers. No coaching, no feedback loops, just his instincts and a ridiculous ability to dial into the data. He approached the simulator like an engineer, and the results showed instantly. Telemetry is the language of Formula One, and Oscar speaks it fluently. The engineers say he doesn't just give feedback, he gives solutions. Where most drivers react emotionally to problems, Oscar reacts analytically. And that kind of brain in a sport this brutal, that's not just rare, it's terrifying. And it gets even weirder. Oscar admitted something in a podcast that genuinely caught people off guard. He's so obsessed with racing lines, he walks them in real life, not as a joke, not as a performance thing, subconsciously. If he's walking through a supermarket or taking a corner in a city, he finds the racing line without realizing it. His brain has rewired itself for performance efficiency. Every movement, even off the track, is a calculation. The signs were there early. As a kid, he dominated the Australian karting scene. Turned pro at 13. By 15, he was already racing in Formula 4, and he didn't just participate, he lit it up. It was like he didn't know how to lose. He kept winning, kept climbing, kept evolving. And the higher he went, the more people started paying attention. But no one, not even the most optimistic scouts, could have predicted what was about to happen when he finally entered F1. The summer of 2022 wasn't just hot because of the temperatures. It was boiling over with drama inside the F1 paddock. This time, the heat wasn't about tire degradation or overheating engines. It was about Oscar Piastri. There weren't two teams fighting over a driver at the peak of their powers. They were fighting over a rookie, a reserve driver, a guy who hadn't even taken the green flag in a Formula One race. The chaos all started when Fernando Alonso shocked the world by announcing his move to Aston Martin, filling the seat Sebastian Vettel had just vacated. Alpine, caught completely off guard, scrambled to fill the vacancy and quickly announced Oscar Piastri as their driver for 2023. Seemed like a done deal. One problem, Oscar never agreed to it. That same day, Piastri dropped a bombshell on social media. Not only did he deny Alpine's announcement, he made it crystal clear he wouldn't be racing for them at all. That post alone sent shockwaves through the sport. Fans were confused. Journalists were stunned. Teams were furious, because no one does that to a Formula One team, especially not a rookie. But this wasn't some petty drama. This turned into a full-blown legal war. The Contract Recognition Board, F1's legal authority for disputes like these, had to step in and figure out who actually had rights to Piastri's signature. Alpine thought they did. After all, they had funded his junior career, helped him climb through the ranks, invested in his growth. But McLaren, they saw something Alpine didn't. They saw the next generational talent, and they weren't going to let him slip away. In the end, McLaren won. The board ruled in their favor. Piastri became their new driver for 2023, and Alpine was left without their golden boy. It wasn't just a legal loss, it was a massive ego blow. F1 isn't just a sport of speed, it's a sport of power plays. And McLaren had just pulled off one of the boldest moves in recent history. That moment set the tone for Oscar's F1 career before it even began. He was already being compared to elite-level drama and superstar treatment, and he hadn't even turned a wheel in an actual race. The pressure was unbelievable. Everyone had their eyes locked on him. Would he deliver? Or was this all hype with no substance? That question didn't take long to answer. His rookie season wasn't just good, it was historic. Despite starting the year in a car that was far from competitive, Oscar still managed to secure 2 podium finishes. Not bad for a debut, right? But here's the kicker. Only one other rookie in modern F1 history had done something similar. That was Lewis Hamilton in 2007. Let that sink in for a moment. And it gets even more impressive when the numbers are laid out. He finished his rookie season with 97 points and a 9th place finish in the championship standings. That might not sound mind-blowing at first, until it's compared with some of the biggest names in the sport. Charles Leclerc finished his rookie season in 13th. Lando Norris, now one of the most respected drivers on the grid, ended up 11th. Even Max Verstappen didn't achieve that kind of rookie output in his first full season. So, no, it wasn't just hype. It wasn't just courtroom drama. Oscar came into F1 with all eyes on him and calmly showed everyone exactly why 2 teams were ready to go to war for him. But the real magic? It's in how he races. There's a reason people talk about him like he's got ice in his veins. Because while the rest of the grid sometimes cracks, Oscar just doesn't. He doesn't snap on the radio. He doesn't lash out. He keeps his voice calm, even when things go wrong. It's unsettling in the best way, like watching a sniper set up the perfect shot while everyone else is scrambling. McLaren's engineers noticed it early on. The way he processes feedback, the way he identifies his own weaknesses before anyone else even mentions them. One engineer even said there's no point in telling Oscar what he did wrong. He already knows. And by the time the data's been reviewed, he's already corrected it. That's not talent. That's mastery. Quiet, analytical, relentless mastery. And there's more to it than raw data processing. There's feel, that racer's intuition, the thing that can't be taught. Oscar's got it in spades. He's particularly deadly in high-speed corners, carrying momentum like it's second nature. During the Belgian Grand Prix, that trait was on full display. He wasn't just fast, he was precise. Like the car was an extension of his body. And the scary part? He's still learning. There's this idea in racing that every driver has a comfort zone, a preferred style. Some love trail braking, others prefer rotating the car with throttle. But Oscar doesn't cling to comfort zones. He adapts. If the car wants a different approach, he changes. No ego, no stubbornness, just pure performance focus. And when someone can morph their driving style on the fly, it becomes very, very hard to beat them. There's something different about the way Oscar Piastri races, a kind of composure that's almost unsettling. It's not just that he's calm. Lots of drivers can stay cool under pressure. But with Oscar, it goes beyond that. There's a rhythm to the way he moves on track, a kind of flow. Like everything slows down for him when it matters most. And believe it or not, there's an actual reason behind that. He sings during races. Yes, seriously. At 300 kilometers per hour while throwing an F1 car through corners and managing brake bias, tire wear, fuel loads, and strategy calls, Oscar is softly singing to himself in the cockpit. Not because he's bored, not because he's trying to have fun. It's a technique. It helps him block out unnecessary thoughts and lock into a natural rhythm. Because sometimes the best driving happens when the brain isn't cluttered with overanalysis. And that sums him up perfectly. Most drivers need absolute focus to function at a high level. Oscar, on the other hand, builds focus by letting go. The singing isn't about relaxing. It's about finding that razor-sharp rhythm that lets him hit apexes with millimeter precision while staying 2 steps ahead on tire strategy. It's weird, but it works. That same relaxed energy follows him off the track too. When fans picture an F1 driver, especially one earning around $20 million a year, they usually think of flashy cars, penthouse apartments, designer wardrobes, and parties in Monaco. But Oscar? He's living in Monte Carlo, sure, but his flat feels more like a university dorm room than a millionaire's playground. An air fryer on the counter, posters still rolled up in the corner, minimal furniture. And that's not some curated PR image. That's really how he lives. This level of simplicity isn't just a lifestyle choice. It's a mentality. Nothing extra, no distractions, no noise. Just racing, learning, and improving. For someone in the spotlight, he moves like a shadow. And yet the moment the lights go green, he becomes this precise, ruthless machine who makes moves that leave even the most experienced drivers stunned. And speaking of ruthless, that's the part most people miss about Oscar. Yes, he's calm. Yes, he's quiet. Yes, he's composed. But underneath all that is a killer instinct that's as sharp as they come. When he's in the car, there are no friends, no teammates, no emotions, only execution. That came out in full force when he went up against none other than Lewis Hamilton. Now, Hamilton isn't just a 7-time world champion. He's a psychological powerhouse on track. He plays the long game, the short game, and every mind game in between. But Oscar didn't flinch. In fact, he pulled off one of the boldest overtakes of the season, going around the outside of Lewis on the final lap. It wasn't just a move for position. It was a message. It said, "I'm not here to survive, I'm here to win." And the thing is, it wasn't even for a podium. It was for 9th place. But that's how he thinks. Every position matters. Every move is a data point. And every overtake is a statement. No holding back, no second guessing, just full commitment. But that wasn't even his most ruthless moment. The real jaw-dropper came when he went head-to-head with his own teammate, Lando Norris. Now, Lando isn't just a teammate. He's one of the top drivers on the grid. He's been with McLaren for years, built a strong fan base, and was locked in a fierce championship fight when Oscar showed up. So when Lando needed every single point, Oscar didn't care. He made the move anyway, went around the outside, took the lead, took the win, and made it look easy. Commentators were stunned, not just because it was a beautiful piece of driving, but because it showed that Oscar doesn't play the politics of racing. He doesn't care about championship dynamics, emotional baggage, or playing nice in front of the cameras. If you're in front of him, you're in the way, and he'll find a way past. Clean, calculated, and devastating. That's what sets him apart. So many drivers get caught up in the drama, the headlines, the chatter. Oscar? He's a ghost until the moment matters. Then he strikes, fast, efficient, and with no hesitation. And just when it seems like that might be the limit of what he offers, he does something even more unthinkable. He rewrites history for McLaren. For a team like McLaren, history is everything. This is the same team that built legends like Ayrton Senna, Alain Prost, and Lewis Hamilton. A team that once dominated the grid and carried a legacy dripping in trophies, fierce rivalries, and unforgettable moments. But as the years went on, that dominance started to fade. Podiums became rare, wins even rarer. And then came Oscar Piastri, a rookie with no Formula One experience and the weight of a once great team resting on his shoulders. No one expected what came next. It didn't begin with fireworks. The McLaren car at the start of the season was far from competitive, sluggish in corners, lacking straight-line speed, and nowhere near the front runners. Most wrote off Oscar Piastri's rookie year as a development phase, a learning curve, a year to quietly gain experience and stay out of trouble. But Oscar had other plans. While the car underperformed, he overperformed. He didn't complain, he adjusted. He found every ounce of grip, every marginal gain, and every subtle advantage hidden in that underwhelming chassis. Then came the upgrades, and that's when it all changed. Suddenly, he wasn't just competitive, he was dominant. In a span of just weeks, he pulled off 3 consecutive Grand Prix wins: Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and Miami. That hadn't been done by a McLaren driver since Mika Häkkinen in 1998. It wasn't just about talent anymore. It was about making history. Oscar didn't erupt in celebration. No shouting on the radio, no over-the-top emotions. He handled every win like it was just part of the plan. That's what separated him. While others might treat a single win like a dream come true, Oscar treated 3 like a warm-up. There were no flukes, no lucky breaks. Every overtake was precise. Every victory was earned, and every move proved that this wasn't just potential, it was the real deal. And that's what makes him dangerous, because as good as he is now, he's nowhere near his peak. He's still learning the tracks, still learning tire management over full race distances, still getting used to F1 weekends, which means every time he shows up, he's getting stronger. Off the track, that same mindset is reflected in everything he does. There are no flashy distractions, no noise, just focus. Even in everyday situations, that competitive edge shows up. Oscar's talked about how he can't help but sprint at red lights just to avoid being behind someone on the sidewalk, or how he naturally finds the racing line in a shopping aisle. It's not forced, it's just who he is now. His brain has been rewired by racing. Every step, every movement, every decision is about efficiency and advantage. And that's what makes him such a scary prospect for every other driver on the grid. Because the real question isn't how good Oscar Piastri is now. The question is, how much better is he going to get? In a sport as cutthroat as Formula One, it's not enough to be talented. Raw speed might catch attention, but it's never enough to sustain a career at the top. What makes the greats truly dangerous is that mix of talent, adaptability, mental toughness, and a ruthless edge that never fades. And when looking at Oscar Piastri, all of those pieces are already locked in place. He doesn't carry the swagger of a driver who needs to prove something with noise. He's not loud. He doesn't need to be. His moves on track say everything. And if there's one thing that sets him apart from many other drivers on the grid, it's the way he handles pressure. Not just tolerating it, thriving in it. Remember, this is someone who had his F1 debut under the weight of massive controversy, legal disputes, public statements, a fight between 2 powerhouse teams. All that before even turning a lap. That sort of chaos can break a young driver before their career even starts. But Oscar? He walked through the fire and never looked back. The truth is, pressure doesn't seem to rattle him. If anything, it sharpens him. During his rookie season, when other young drivers might have cracked under the spotlight, Oscar kept his head down and focused on what he could control. Every practice session was treated like a test. Every qualifying run was a step forward. Every race was an opportunity to gather data, improve, and prepare for something bigger. That's why his trajectory feels different. It's not the usual hype train built on moments and media excitement. It's methodical. It's calculated. He's not chasing headlines. He's building something. And if the past is any indication, what he's building might be the foundation of a future world champion. McLaren knows it. The paddock knows it. Even some of the other drivers have started to realize it. Because this isn't just a case of a driver overperforming a good car. It's the case of a driver extracting more than what's available. When the MCL38 wasn't competitive, he still found points. When the updates arrived, he didn't just match expectations, he shattered them. And here's what's scary. Oscar is only just beginning to understand what he's capable of at this level. The comparison to legends is becoming impossible to avoid. Not just because of his early success, but because of how he handles it. There's a poise that mirrors the calm brutality of drivers like Alan Prost, a technical sharpness that echoes the early years of Lewis Hamilton, and a willingness to go full send when it matters, shades of Max Verstappen in every bold, late-breaking move. But more than that, there's an identity forming. Oscar Piastri isn't trying to be the next anyone. He's carving out his own space. He's not the loudest, flashiest, or most controversial. He's the quiet assassin. The one who looks calm until he's going around the outside of a world champion like it's a routine Tuesday. And when he pulls it off, there's no celebration, no theatrics, just a look of quiet satisfaction, like everything went according to plan. The F1 world is seeing the birth of a new kind of threat, one that doesn't roar, but whispers, one that doesn't explode onto the scene, but infiltrates it. Oscar Piastri is the calm before the storm, the driver everyone underestimated until it was too late. And now he's winning. He's breaking records. He's rewriting expectations for rookies, for McLaren, and for what the next generation of F1 talent looks like. The scariest part is not what he's already done. It's what's still ahead. Because with every lap, every race, every season, he's only going to get more dangerous. And for the rest of the grid, that might just be the most terrifying truth of all. If that gave you chills, hit that like button and share this video with every F1 fan who needs to know the truth about Oscar Piastri. Let them see what's coming.